Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
As I mentioned in yesterday's WrestleTalk news, there's been a lot of chat about Andrade in the wrestling world as of late. It was reported that the former NXT champion had asked for his release a couple of weeks ago, which the man himself confirmed on Twitter. And while many felt that WWE would Brody Lee this situation, i.e. keep Andrade under contract until it expired so they couldn't go to the competition, he was surprisingly released from WWE shortly after Fastlane went off the air this past Sunday. Since then, Dave Meltzer reported via Wrestling Observer Radio that Andrade was working without the traditional 90-day non-compete clause, which means he could show up in any wrestling promotion as of right now. However, current Quizzlemania champion and all-round sweary bloke Sean Ross Sapp noted on his Fightful podcast with Denise Salcedo that he hasn't heard that same information, and that Andrade did have a 90-day non-compete. He didn't say that Meltzer's report was wrong, just that there is lots of conflicting information out there about this situation. What is perhaps more clear though is what Andrade will be going as in his post-WWE life. Prior to requesting his WWE release, Andrade applied for the trademarks El Idolo and La Sombra, the latter of which was his previous in-ring name in promotions like CMLL. And Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter last week that it does seem like his goal is to use that name. And now Andrade has posted on Twitter an image from those days, apparently teasing a return of La Sombra and maybe even a return to CMLL. What would you like to see Andrade or La Sombra do next? Head back to CMLL? Wait until he can go to New Japan and reunite with Tetsuya Naito? Or maybe even head over to All Elite Wrestling? Let me know in the comments down below, as I'll be replying to people from my desk where I still work from home. I can't believe it's been a year, I'm still here. Andrade has been missing from WWE screens since before the draft last October, and someone else who's been off TV for quite some time is WrestleTalk's favourite boy, Keith Lee, who was originally supposed to be challenging Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship at Elimination Chamber with Matt Riddle, but was quietly pulled from the match just before the pay-per-view. Instead, there was a match to crown his replacement, and Matt Riddle picked up the win and the belt. Lee hasn't even been mentioned on TV since then, which is bizarre as he came onto the main roster of WWE with a bit of pomp and circumstance. While fans were critical of WWE's choices to put him in a vest, change his music to something quite crap, and then send him back to the Performance Center to learn how to work, he did beat Randy Orton clean on pay-per-view and seemed to be floating around the feud between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus when Drew was still champion. The speculation is that Lee is currently injured, which is why he was pulled from the Elimination Chamber match. But according to Ringside News, so do take this with a pinch of salt, there may be something more to it. They posted yesterday that they'd asked about the Keith Lee disappearance from TV and were told that Lee hasn't even been at the Thunderdome as of late for television tapings. Speaking of disappearing, and Mr. Davis is still off this week to prepare for our hair versus points match at WrestleJamia, and I am still on the hunt for the son of a botch that blew him up. So, let's get on to our next suspect. Got my phone here. Was it you son of a botch?
No.
Damn. Really thought it was going to be them. Anyway, Keith Lee isn't the only one who's disappeared from TV as of late. Aleister Black has been missing from TV since last October. He turned heel and feuded with Kevin Owens for a cup of coffee and then was drafted to SmackDown, and then, well, that was it. It had previously been reported that Black was a favourite of Paul Heyman, much like Angel Garza, Andrade, and Buddy Murphy. And once Heyman lost his creative power on Raw, that spelled the end of the pushes for those lads. It's also been reported that Aleister Black, like Keith Lee, is on that list of wrestlers that Vince McMahon just doesn't get, which is why they're not featured on TV much. There was also some speculation that his vanishing from TV coincided with his real-life wife Thea Trinidad leaving WWE, but that one wasn't confirmed. However, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, there is more to Black's disappearance than just a lack of McMahon approval or Trinidad's departure. It's because he's dealing with minor injuries and stuff. Stuff, eh, Dave? Very nice and vague as per bloody usual. The stuff that Dave is chatting about could of course be the frustrations that WrestleVotes reported back in November, following Black requesting to go back to NXT like Finn Balor and Ember Moon did, but had his request denied. WrestleVotes added at the time there was dissension amongst the parties involved. In another interesting note from Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted that Paul Heyman might be working with WWE without a contract. Heyman left TV screens when Brock Lesnar lost at WrestleMania 36 to Drew McIntyre, but returns to be the advocate for Roman Reigns in his new Tribal Chief gimmick. However, Meltzer notes that Heyman's previous contract is either already up or is up very soon, perhaps as early as May. But before we get too excited with the Paul Heyman to AEW confirmed, Meltzer adds, I can't even imagine him not being signed. He's with Roman Reigns in a top act. I would just presume that's a formality. Sadly, from the world of NXT, another injury has forced a champion to relinquish their title, which is starting to feel horribly frequent on the Black and Gold brand. It was reported last week that Danny Burch separated his shoulder during the main event tag match with Oney Lorcan against Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, being evacuated from the match, leaving Lorcan to finish alone. NXT General Manager William Regal announced on Twitter yesterday the sad news that Burch and Lorcan would have to vacate the NXT Tag Team Championships, adding that he will address the state of the titles on tonight's episode of the show. And in a very unusual non-caps lock filled tweet, Oney Lorcan demanded a match with Karrion Kross to avenge his fallen tag partner, which was later confirmed. Speaking of confirming, and I'm about to confirm who blew up Mr. Davis. Come on. Was it you son of a botch?
No, sorry Luke. Wasn't me.
Damn it. I really thought that was going to be him. Anyway, that's not the only bit of NXT news. The Wednesday night war of AEW versus NXT could be coming to an almighty end next month after WrestleMania, which means Brian Alvarez won't have to deal with idiots on Twitter anymore when he simply posts the viewing figures for both shows. The news first came about a few weeks ago when Mat Men Podcast posted on Twitter that they'd heard NXT was moving to Tuesday nights, which was later corroborated by the likes of Alvarez and Meltzer, the latter of which saying it wasn't actually anything to do with All Elite Wrestling, and rather the NHL and their Wednesday night games airing on the USA Network. However, nothing has actually been officially confirmed by WWE, and well, really nothing has still been confirmed by WWE. But according to PW Insider, WWE's internal production schedule has NXT listed as a Tuesday night production following WrestleMania, which means the first episode of the new era will air on Tuesday the 13th of April, the day after Monday Night Raw. From a personal standpoint, this feels like the right move. We've seen in the past when NXT and AEW air on separate nights that they both prosper. So this can only be a good thing. Way back in 2019, the report was that NXT was only moved from the WWE Network to USA Network not to grow the brand, but to eat into AEW's viewership. And I think you can't argue that was a success. But it also ate into NXT's audience, and the brand hasn't been as hot as it was pre-USA Network. And it could also mean the return of NXT reviews. Only time will tell. You'll just have to keep asking Ollie about it. No, seriously, go on Twitter and ask him. He's at Ollie Davis. Go and ask him on there. I mean, he won't answer because he doesn't really check Twitter, but it'll be funny. Just keep bugging him. It'll be hilarious. And speaking of ratings, despite coming off the back of Fastlane and the debut of Kentucky Fried Fiend, Raw was slightly down in its viewership this week, pulling in 1.82 million, down from the 1.84 last week. Interestingly though, the all-important 18 to 49 demo actually climbed slightly throughout the show, which means the draw of Randy Orton summoning the Fiend in the main event did bring in some interest from viewers. And before I throw over to Tempest for his unnamed segment, I've got one more suspect to call today about who blew up Mr. Davis. Was it you son of a botch?
You already asked me.
Oh, yeah, no, oh, sorry, yeah, sorry, bye, sorry, bye. Anyway, let's head on over to Tempest T Wrestling to see what's going on in the rest of the wrestling world and the name of his new segment. Take it away, Tempest.
Okay, so it's another week and I still don't have a name for this show. So instead of deciding on one, I've put all of the names that you guys have suggested into this crown. This is a total shoot. This is going to be what the name of the segment is, all right? You like that ASMR? All right, moment of truth. This is the one. Tempest's Temptations. Well, All right, well, welcome everybody to the first edition of Tempest's Temptations, where I break down all of the wrestling shows from the prior week that are outside of WWE and AEW. Starting off this week is going to be the conclusion of the New Japan Cup. Will Ospreay took on Shingo Takagi in a rematch of the 2019 Best of the Super Junior final, and we had the same exact result, with Will Ospreay taking the New Japan Cup for himself. This of course means that Will Ospreay will face Kota Ibushi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of Sakura Genesis on April 4th. However, what has more people talking is the conclusion of this New Japan Cup show, where Will Ospreay seemingly turned on his girlfriend Bea Priestley and hit her with a cutter. He was mid-promo against Kota Ibushi, where he said that he loves nothing or no one as much as he loves the idea of being IWGP Heavyweight Champion. People have not been a fan of this angle whatsoever since it happened, as domestic abuse is a very serious topic and it should not be used as an angle in pro wrestling. But moving on, we also saw the return of Yo of Roppongi 3K this week, as he and his tag team partner Sho will challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, taking on El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru at Sakura Genesis. And the last piece of New Japan news, a new member will be added to the Empire, as Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, and Sonata will be taking on the Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and a new member of the group at Sakura Genesis. Who do you think the newest member of the group will be? Let us know in the comments. But switching gears now to Impact Wrestling, we had an X Division Championship match as Ace Austin defended the title against TJP. Austin was able to retain the title via disqualification when Madman Fulton hit the ring, causing the DQ. But what had more people talking on this week's show was the actual in-ring appearance of Kenny Omega and Don Callis. There were a lot of really interesting tidbits here, including Don Callis listing off a number of names that Kenny Omega is bigger of in the world of pro wrestling, one of which being Kota Ibushi. Please God. And in a moment that spoke to me personally, Kenny Omega quoted the Street Fighter movie, saying that when he stepped foot into Impact Pro Wrestling, it was the greatest day in the life of that promotion, but for him, it was Tuesday. Ooh. So cool. Movie's awesome. Moving over to Ring of Honor, the ROH television champion Dragon Lee announced that he had suffered a broken eardrum and thus will be unable to compete at the 19th anniversary show. He had been scheduled to defend his title against Tracy Williams, and now his tag team partner Kenny King will be wrestling on his behalf. If Kenny King is able to win the match, Dragon Lee will keep his championship. Everybody got that? The NWA returned to pay-per-view this week with Back for the Attack, their first pay-per-view since the start of the pandemic. The main event of the show saw Nick Aldis successfully defend the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Aaron Stevens. Aldis has been champion going on about 2.5 years now, and he appears to be nowhere close to slowing down. The show also featured a touching tribute for Josephus, the wrestling star of the NWA who passed away last month. A couple of extra quick notes. All Japan Pro Wrestling legend Genichiro Tenryu was hospitalized this past weekend with congestive heart failure. The report stated that this was not life-threatening and Tenryu just needs rest to make a full recovery. Tenryu, of course, has been retired since 2015 when he had his last match against New Japan Pro Wrestling star Kazuchika Okada. And in a piece of happy news, Kylie Rae will be making her return to the ring this year on June 5th for Warrior Wrestling. She will be defending her title in Warrior Wrestling against AEW and NWA star Thunder Rosa. This will mark Kylie Rae's first appearance in pro wrestling since last fall, when she stepped away from the business. That just about wraps it up for this week's episode of Tempest Temptations. I'm not going to get used to saying that name. And of course, this week's episode is dedicated to my friend Sterling. He's a good guy, but he doesn't check his emails.
Thanks, Tempest, and you can watch him react to WWE Fastlane along with myself, Laurie Blake, and Pete Quinnell on our Reaction Supercut. Click the video on screen to check that out. And what's the real reason for Charlotte Flair's absence from Raw? Click the video below that to find out. I've been Luke Owen. Jam that mother flipping jam.